Hi guys, Shane here, Aus Flight Simmer. Welcome to another test drive video. Have you ever wondered what all the fuss is when it comes to flight simulation on a mobile device? Well, that's what we're going to check out in today's video. Hi guys, Shane here. Welcome to another test drive video. Now, if you haven't seen one of these before, this is where we take a scenery, aircraft, or utility in all different types of flight simulators. We'll take them for a spin around the block and I will give you my first impressions. Is it value for money? So in today's video, we are going to do something different. We're stepping outside the desktop here and we're going to look at a flight simulator within an iPad or a mobile device. So in my opinion, there is two major players on the market. One is xplane, which the newly updated one with all the world airports. That's what we're going to check out today. And the other one is Infinite Flight. In recent times, xplane for mobile has had a big update. They've gone and added all the world airports from the desktop. They've actually added it into the mobile device. So you've got 37,000 airports known around the world where you can fly into. 11,500 of those are all 3D airports, and they've got a lot of the detailed default aircraft plus more that they're putting in the sim, ranging from all different things like Cessnas to airliners and even to military aircraft that you can have a go. So in today's video, we're going to check out how the UI, how the functionality is, how a standard flight would go in a light aircraft. How does it look? How does it feel? And will you get your flight simming fix from a mobile device? So normally on our desktops, when we're flying flight simulators, we would have our hardware that would use the fly. Like I use the Yoko Yoke from Virtual Fly over here, but you don't have that ability when you're flying using a mobile device or an iPad. So in today's video, I want to give you guys the full experience. So we're going to pop the old GoPro on the head so you can see when we're rolling to the left, rolling to the right, and pushing up and pushing down, and showing how we actually control the aircraft. So we've been saying all that, why don't we jump in the sim, we'll have a look at the UI, and we'll get set up and go through some of the features. So here we are in the main menu of xplane Mobile. We have flight school, challenges, and free flight. They're the three things we'll be checking out in this video. Also, we've got the settings on the bottom right hand corner, which I won't go into much detail, but I'm really eager to jump into flight school and just get a bit of a lesson to see how this is all going to work. So we're going to do that straight away. As we transition over to flight school, being on a mobile device, I want it to be quick between the different transitions to the different parts of UI, and they have got that down pat. You don't have to wait for the loading. There we go. I don't have to wait very long at all. As you can see, I've added a GoPro view to the flight shots when it comes to this video, so you can see what I'm seeing. But first, impressions of some of these cinematic shots as we step into this tutorial flight is how amazing does it look, especially powered by a mobile device. I was really impressed. This first initial flight is just, the aim of it is for you to get used to the flight control. So here it's walking me through yawing to the left and yawing to the right. And now I'll tell you what, that was a little bit freaky having this mirrored on the big screen as well and not using a yoke. This took a little bit of getting used to, but the setup that xplane Mobile gets you to go through, you can really get up to speed pretty quickly. This is the same default 172 that it is in the desktop version of xplane, and everything is absolutely clickable. It's a very high detailed aircraft for a default aircraft, but this part of the flight is just getting you used to some of the quick press buttons. We are using the throttle here, but you can actually use the throttle by clicking on it itself. It's very similar to flying xplane in VR. So cycling through some of the views here, we've got a chase view, there's also a flyby view, all the same views that you would see on the desktop. It's, if this is powered, the same flight sim in the desktop that is in a mobile device. So we're going to jump back in the UI and we're going to find a challenge flight and we're going to see what one of those look like. Now back at the main menu, we're in the challenges section. There's 5 different types, which is GA aircraft, commercial, racing challenges, helicopter challenges, and also fighter challenges. And there's also a number of challenges within these ones as well. So we're going to check out one of the general aviation ones. We might fly a Cub around Hawaii and see what that looks like. That way we get a bit of a look at the city and an airport as well. As we get ready for this challenge, we're doing a scenic flight in the Cub around the mountains of Hawaii. It's pretty basic. We're pretty much just aviating the aircraft, making sure we keep up the speed, fly through the squares, make sure we don't stall. But good to note is just the surrounding areas and the terrain. Obviously everything's in 3D and it looks quite good for a mobile device. It's very, very immersive when you've got that iPad close to you. But we're just going to speed up through so you get sort of an idea of what different challenges are like. But this one's a pretty basic one. With these challenges, you get to go back and repeat them if you want and try to beat your previous high scores. For me, I'm not really in for that stuff. I just want to get in and fly. So we're going to check out the aircraft that has to offer in X-plane mobile, and we'll go and set up a free flight and see how that looks like. So now I jumped into the menu of free flight mode. It's set up similar to what it is in the desktop. You go and choose your aircraft, you go and choose where you want to fly, the weather you want to fly, and the time, if there's any failures, and then you jump into the flight. So we're going to have a quick look at the aircraft, ranging from Cirrus jets to Cessna 172s to Cubs, DC-3s, different Barons, the airliners are all in there, the 737, and you've got some fighter jets as well, and heaps of liveries for all that. Now, all these aircraft are only available because I've paid to have the subscription. With majority of this sort of stuff, if you set up for default, you pretty much only get a Cessna and a Cirrus jet, I believe. So now it's time to program our route or choose our airport we want to start off with. Now there's 37,000 of them, and like I mentioned before, 11,500 are 3D airports. We're going to pick my local, and I'm going to start the route, and we're just going to do a circuit around Caloundra and see how we go. So I don't need to go and add a route or anything like that, but I am going to pick my parking spot, which will be a helipad, and that's basically the GA area down there. Switching over to weather, you can have a look at the basic options, so cloud, wind, and also precipitation, or you can go over to advanced and you can really play around with all your different bits and pieces. For this flight, I'm not really going to mess around with that too much. I'm just going to basically use the basic and put the clouds up a little bit because it is cloudy outside today, and we will see how we go with that. We'll put the winds up because, hey, it is always windy down at Caloundra. So much fun. So then you got the option to choose your time, then also make sure if you want to put any failures in there, but we're not going to do that today. We're going to make sure everything is working okay and there is no surprises. Welcome to the cockpit of the 172. As I mentioned before, this is exactly the same as the default 172, and you can look around the aircraft. So I'm actually doing a full startup here. It's very, very similar to X-plane in VR. Now I will say this, for the people that have used this product before, I'm doing this the most painful way by zooming in. I didn't work it out till later that you can just double tap the screen and it'll put you in the right area, which makes it easier to navigate. But I'm just basically turn the master on, turn all the lights on there. We're checking to see the rudders are working, and we're going to add some fuel, put a bit of the throttle on there, and then we're going to kick it over just like you would do on the 172 if you're doing X-plane in the desktop. But everything is absolutely clickable in the aircraft. I'm going to be quiet so you can listen to the sounds as we go.
11.9 will do it, Delta 778.
There we go. So that was a pretty ugly startup in the 172 by myself there. But as I mentioned before, everything is clickable in this aircraft, and you can start it up just as you do in the desktop. So I'm just going to hit the screen there. So there are all the touch panels, all the touch buttons that are in the aircraft. So I'm not going to show the taxi. We're going to jump down to a runway 12 in Caloundra. I'm going to try and do a circuit using xplane mobile. We'll see how we go. Here we are at a runway 12. We're about to get ready. I forgot that when I set up the weather, I put a crosswind in here, so that'll make things interesting. But one thing to remember is when you're using the rudder, especially in 172, only need to do a little adjustments. As you can see, it got so far out of control very, very quickly. But once we got the power down, then I could sort of adjust it to get back to the center line of the runway. Also, I had the trim not set up correctly, so as you can see, I had to pitch so far back on the iPad just to get her up in the air, but now we are flying. So aim is to get up to about 500 feet, and then we'll begin our right hand turn off runway 2 and go on to our crosswind direction. Every time I test out a new simulator or even a new aircraft in xplane or different sims for that matter, VR or not VR, I always go and take it for a circuit. Is one of the first things I do. And the reason why I do that is because I believe in a sim, after flying many circuits in real life these days, is that a circuit in a sim is the hardest thing to do, and I think you can get a really good comparison of how an actual aircraft flies or how a sim performs by doing a circuit down at your local. So we are in our crosswind leg. We're going to turn onto our downwind leg, and one thing is to take in consideration is, like, I'm sitting at home in my nice comfy chair in my little sim setup here, but my arms are starting to burn by the time you get to this point, even though a circuit will approximately take me about 8 to 9 minutes down at Caloundra. But one thing to take in consideration is when you're moving the yoke around so much, yes, you can use autopilot, but this type of flying is my arms are absolutely burning at this stage. So something you're not used to when you're using hardware flying a desktop, because you can use your yoke. So again, I can pan around, so I'm just panning around to see where I am in conjunction and running parallel along the runway, and also trying to find out when I'm being the numbers. But I'm going to cut it there, and then we'll come back in on our final. Here we are on a final for runway 12. Obviously the flight dynamics are the same in the mobile app as what they are in the desktop. So I am trying to do a crosswind landing and trying to drop the wing, but I find it very, very hard to do it on a mobile device, considering I can use rudder pedals and a yoke when I'm doing this in the sim, or even flying it in real life, for instance, but having a lot of trouble. So you can see how this will end up when you're flying a light aircraft with a bit of wind. At this point, I really should be thinking about going around. Oh! Hopefully no one spilt their coffee on that one. But within saying that, there is a replay feature, so of course we're going to check out that landing for sure. Now it's time to check out the big guys, the airliners. So we're in the 737. We're at Brisbane in Southwest livery, funny enough. You don't see that every day, but the aircraft are all quite detailed. So how would you fly a 737 in on a tablet? Well, good question. There is a lot of buttons that actually don't work in this particular aircraft, and then there's a lot that does. It's enough to keep the immersion going, enough to keep you flying, in my opinion. But you just double tap the screen, it will put you in the right area, and there you can fly. So we're actually going to do a circuit and see how this turns out. So we'll jump back into the cockpit. So for this flight, we've chose absolutely no weather at all. So clear blue skies and no wind. So we're going to throttle up and see how we go on a circuit in the 737 in xplane mobile. So I'll be quiet now. Please enjoy the takeoff. Positive rate, gears are going up. Well, that's why we wear seatbelts, ladies and gentlemen, on takeoff. That would have scared the absolutely bejeebers out of everybody. But we've been saying that. We're going to go into our crosswind and our downwind, and we'll do a bit of a circuit. So I'm going to throw it into a montage, and we'll come back to you on final. So we're making our approach into a runway 01. We've got a bunch of flaps down there. We've got a bit of cloud layer there, so it's good to showcase some cloud as we fly through that. So we're just going to bring the throttle down. We're not really lined up too well, but hey, this is the first time we're flying a airliner doing a pattern on a mobile device. So pretty cool anyway. So more flaps down there. We'll try to actually line up. We're very, very, very high. But as you can see, you're working the yoke or working the iPad. It is a lot of work to line up, especially when you don't have a stable approach just like this one. But I've got a funny feeling I think this is going to turn into a lump of porridge. There we go, very high. But we're going to commit. We're going to see what happens. We use the rudder. Oh, shouldn't have used the rudder. Shouldn't have used the rudder. We are out of control. This is not going to end well. Bam! Anyways, I think you guys get the drift. But hey, we need to check out one more thing. We need to check out some helicopters. So here we are in a helicopter. I'm not the biggest helicopter flyer ever, except this is probably the first one I've flown in about 2 years. So it will end up in a mess if we actually get up like we have. That is absolutely fantastic. But it does have helicopters included. So we're just going to fly over to the other side of the airport and see how we go, if we can actually get there. I will put a little disclaimer in there. During the video, some of the footage may look a bit blocky. That's because I was mirroring this to a screen from a PC. But on the actual iPad, it was as smooth and really, really, really crisp. So we're going to try and touch it down just in front of the air traffic control tower and say thank you for the brilliant work that you do. And I don't think it's going to go so well. There we go. And we've put it into the tree. I tell you what, X-Plane Mobile 11's been a lot of fun trying out different aircraft and either crashing them or landing them. But we've been saying that, let's check out my final thoughts on X-Plane Mobile 11. Is it a value for money and should you pick it up? So X-Plane on the mobile device comes as two variants or two different subscriptions. So you can basically pick it up and just get the global airports. We've had the 37,000 plus the 11,500 3-day airports. You can pick that up for $7.99 a month, or you can get a year subscription. If you want the total package that has all the airports and all the aircraft, you can pick it up for $9.49, and then you get everything. And that's a subscription each a month. Now, do I think it a value for money? Well, as you can see, I was a terrible pilot when it comes to flying in a simulator on an iPad, but I tell you what, I could get a lot better putting some time in it. So if it's your only way of form of flight simming, I definitely think you can get your fix, and you definitely could become a really good simming pilot on a mobile device. But if you're used to desktops like me and you're used to using hardware, it's probably not so much. Maybe used to when you go on holidays and things like that and get your fix. But I tell you what, I was very, very surprised of the level of detail compared to what it is in the desktop version, and also the immersion feeling you do get out of it. It's just, I need some practice. So is it value for money? I would say at that pricing it would be, but I tell you what, if you had a desktop and you had that available to you all the time, you probably wouldn't pick this up. But if it was the only form of flight simming you could do at the time, if you're away for business, if you're away for holidays, or you didn't have a desktop, I would highly recommend it. So if you liked the video, please hit a thumbs up down below. It's much appreciated. Leave a comment what you think about xplane 11 for mobile. Is it something that you would pick up? Do you use it? Do you like it? What do you like best about it? I would love to hear it. And if you have any questions, please drop in the comments and I'll be sure to answer those, as I do answer every comments. Now, if you're new to the channel, please hit the subscribe button for more weekly content. And I'm going to leave here, and here some more of my videos, and some of them are favorite ones too. So once you go and check it out, and I will see you over there.